Yeah, so I've had a lot of hats. I mean, I come from Iceland. We're so few, so you have to do lots of stuff. I mean, you cannot just specialize in one thing because we're simply so few. And so I spent 8 years in Parliament, primarily working on digital rights, human rights in cyber, because, you know, honestly, when I was in Parliament for the first time, I was the only one that understood this topic, which was deeply disturbing. Thankfully, we have many, many more today, and I hope that there are lots of MEPs here that are interested in this topic because it is so important. One of the things that I did a lot of work on was the Data Retention Directive. I managed to stop it being Icelandic law twice because I knew that it was being taken both by the Human Rights Court, but also the German Constitutional Court, and it was deemed way too invasive. And unfortunately, Iceland has actually pretty much the same type of data retention law. But like I said to the Commission at the time, it's easier to change local laws than EU directives. And that is certainly true, and that is why it is so important when we are looking at the European Parliament and the Commission that we carry on seeing new standards that are actually something that other regions in the world look at. And now I'm talking about the GDPR because even if, you know, I, being an activist, would see many flaws in it, I think it is so much better than not having it. And I think that when we look at the problems that law enforcement are faced with and the problems that we are faced with as civil society, at times of great uncertainty, when it's so easy to take away our rights, you know, whenever there is a terrorist act in Europe, some laws that are really fundamental get chopped. And not to the greater benefit of law enforcement, to be honest, because whenever we had discussions and debates about this on committee level in the Icelandic Parliament with law enforcement, I could never get concrete examples on how it actually improved their work. And so if there has been a shift in that in the last couple of years, I would love to hear that from people that are experts in that field. But currently, we are seeing a lot of attempts, and we've been seeing these attempts for a long time, in eroding the trust that we have in that we have a right to privacy, that we have a right to communications that are not intercepted. Now, as I was a member of Parliament way back, I had the good fortune of the US government coming after my so-called metadata because I helped co-produce a leaked video to WikiLeaks called Collateral Murder, which showed heinous war crimes. And I had not committed any crime, yet the US authorities felt it was okay to go after me. As I was a sitting parliamentarian, as I was a part of the NATO Parliamentary Assembly, as I was a part of the Foreign Affairs Committee. So you can imagine the overreach, and this is 2011. And we've seen the overreach since then. It is so bad. Because I've done a lot of work with activists from all over, whistleblowers and human rights activists, and now most recently with people from the Philippines. And they're asking me for advice on how to communicate safely. And honestly, even if they are on Signal, even if they use the best possible VPN, I cannot fully tell them that they are going to be safe. And so whenever we are looking at laws, look at the worst possible dictator having these backdoors, to having access to these backdoors. Look at that. Imagine that. Imagine you get Trump in Europe, which is not a far-fetched. I mean, we already have someone here on the other, you know, somebody that everyone refers to as Boris, which is not that far from that. Imagine giving that type of invasive access, and you have vulnerable civil groups. Yeah, so all laws should always, and all policies should always be made with the worst possible dictator in mind. That's the only advice I can really give you. Because when things are good, it doesn't really matter. But when S hits the fan, you want to make sure that you do not give dictators access to the most vulnerable people in your society. Since I want to hear from the other people, because it's been really awesome to listen to the people that have spoken before me, and I know that it's going to be very enlightening to listen to the others, I'm not going to have it much longer. And I'm really looking forward for debate, and I hope that this is the first meeting of many. And thank you very much, Patrick, for inviting me, and I hope to see you all soon. Thank you.